time, it's one of the greatest commodities.
Welcome to the Living Superfood Show. My name is Umoya, and I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Master Chef, Health and Food Scientist, Kidi Awadu. How you doing today, Kidi?
Greetings to you, Umoya. I am doing great. Mehoye, as we would say in the Tree Ashanti language. I am doing well, for my wellness is present. And you, Wahote-sen, how is your health today?
It's doing well, brother. It's doing well. So today we're going to be talking about ginger. And so the first question is, what is ginger and how did it get the name and where is the origin?
Okay. You always ask such great questions. You make me go in and do my historical research. So, what is ginger? Ginger is a root crop and is actually one of the most powerful food adaptogens known to humanity. Adaptogens are again a class of nutrients or many times herbs that help us to balance our body systems. And when it comes to symbiosis, the means by which humans or other species and plants serve each other, it is undeniable. The ginger is probably one of the greatest plant sources of full spectrum nutrition, true superfood that humans could ever consider.
All right.
So, ginger comes from the Southeast Asia. And again, as the Europeans went out to explore the world, they realized that as they got closer to the equator, wherever they went, they found these incredibly powerful spices. Not only added a lot of nutritional, or not only a lot of culinary pleasantry to the European diet. I mean, mutton can only taste so good before you finally put something on the mutton.
Oh, mutton.
But ginger is one of the ones they discovered in Southeast Asia. So it does grow around the world, but nowadays ginger very rarely, if ever, can be found in the wild state. So it's been domesticated for thousands of years across Australia, Indonesia, and it's just a really wonderful gift of nature to us all.
Okay, so how did it get its name?
You know, I was looking for that, and I really wasn't able to find. I know this is ginger discovered long before Gilligan's Island was popular, so I had to rule that one out. So the name ginger, it does have a scientific name. Okay, well, here we go. I just was able to stumble across it. The English origin of the word ginger is from the mid 14th century, from Old English ginger, which is from the medieval Latin gingiber, and from Greek zinsbins. And so what does it translate to? Goodness from the gods. It also, some of the other words from Sanskrit, horn, and from vera, body, horn, body. Maybe that's dealing with the shape of the root, how it might resemble the horns of a moose or a deer, or antlers of some elk or some creature like that.
All right. So is ginger grown seasonally and how should it be grown?
Well, ginger does grow seasonally. It doesn't overwinter well. You can always tell if you ever see ginger and it gets too cold or gets frozen, it goes bad real quick. But it's grown as a root crop, and essentially with ginger, you take a piece of the root that is still alive and you plant it in cool, moist soil. I think, from my understanding, if I can recall, it grows pretty much around 70 to a little less than 90 degrees. So it does prefer, good, warm, sunny climate, not too cold, not too hot.
All right. So is the whole plant edible or just the root?
Well, you could technically eat the whole plant, but the ginger leaves are really not going to be very pleasant to eat because they tend to be like many other type of grass leaves. They tend to be rather sharp and rather coarse, and I don't know whether you could cook that coarse sharpness edge out of it. You might even, if you try to eat the leaves raw, you might even end up cutting your tongue. So while the leaves can be consumed, I would imagine they could be made into some sort of tea or whatever. In general, though, the density of the flavors and the nutrition, as well as the hotness factor, ginger kind of heats up dishes, is to be found in the root.
So, what are the nutritional properties or benefits of ginger?
Wow. When we talk about ginger, the first thing that readily comes to my mind, it is one of the most powerful antioxidants known. Ginger is used in so many ways to combat acute infections, colds, flu, ginger tea. You can make a mild ginger tea. Or if you're really dealing with some serious issues of upper respiratory or lower respiratory disorder, anything from colds and flus to pneumonia, ginger taken stronger does create a heating up element, and this heating up element becomes anti-pathogenic. I know I had come down with a case of pneumonia in February 2016. It was a bit of a shock. I realized a few of my friends around Las Vegas at that time came down with a really, really sick lung infection, and that was actually pneumonia. So I used a concoction of ginger, garlic, slices of lemon with the peel on it, and I made a big pot of tea. And also into it, I added a very powerful herb, one of my favorites, known as sweet wormwood. It's a known antiparasitic, but it also really increases our oxygen carrying capacity of the blood and serves as a good antioxidant as well. So ginger really was as much the star of the party as the sweet wormwood. And in 5 days of drinking this tea, which I just really kind of kept the pot on the stove and just kept adding ingredients and adding water to it, I was able to bounce right up. And essentially, my body cured itself of pneumonia in 5 days without the use of any pharmaceutical drugs. Ginger is also good for suppressing nausea. Many times, pregnant women use ginger tea, ginger extract to get over the nausea phases of their pregnancy with no known side effects. And so, we use ginger to fight inflammation, to fight nausea and or morning sickness. And also I have found by using a blend of chlorophyll, which is made by juicing kale or spinach or collards or some other dark leafy green. I juice that along with one apple and about a 2 finger sized piece of ginger. And for women who are going through a uncomfortable menstrual cycle, cramping, and other unpleasant side effects, that concoction will relieve those side effects in about 10 minutes, and the effect lasts for the rest of the month.
Wow. Okay.
Food is nature's most perfect medicine. How many times have we said that on this program?
That's true. I've also heard that if you, not saying that you drink or that I drink alcohol specifically, but I've heard for those that do, if they have a hangover, that ginger could be used to help alleviate some of those symptoms, those hangover symptoms. Have you heard about that or not?
I have heard that. And you just reminded me there's so many other wonderful things about ginger that may just make it so wonderful. You can make, your own ginger brew. Just take some ginger juice and add some sparkling water to it. Make your own ginger ale and avoid the hangover in the first place by saying, hey, this makes me feel so good. I think I'll just not drink the alcohol.
All right. So, are there any side effects?
The only side effects of ginger that I'm aware of, if it's taken in too strong a dose, if you try to take the ginger juice just straight on, it can be really, really hot. It's not the kind of heat that, of course, will damage your skin. It's just the kind of heat that says, I got to have some water and some liquid to kind of flush it out. But when we consuming things that are hot like that, it has a strong tendency to make mucus move. And expelling mucus is one of the things that helps us to maximize the speed at which we were getting over inflammatory disorders and diseases. And another very, very important property or use for ginger is as an anti-cancer strategy. You can use ginger as a prophylactic, meaning include maximum amount of ginger in your diet to prevent cancer, or for people who might be having cancer experiences. Studies have shown that cancer chemotherapy works so much better in the presence of ginger that now many oncologists, cancer treating doctors, many oncologists are now recommending ginger as a complementary to cancer chemotherapies. Interesting that they would say that, because it's also found that ginger on its own without the chemotherapy can be used to prevent and or lessen or eliminate the symptoms of prostate cancer. In fact, the research on the link between consumption of ginger and significantly lowering the risk of prostate cancer should be enough to convince every man who's listening to this conversation and every woman who's in love with a man to incorporate ginger much more regularly into our regular diet. Think about it. Would you rather go through all of the machinations to deal with prostate cancer when, all you had to do was just enjoy this beautiful culinary herb that spices up our life? I use ginger multiple times every day.
All right, so I know you mentioned a couple ways that ginger can be consumed. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, yes, so many ways. Ginger is one of the four, and we've talked about these four before here on the program. One of the four critical nutrients that in living superfood I recommend people consume every day in as many ways as you can get them in. These four are ginger, cinnamon, turmeric, and cayenne pepper. These are the heavy four. So in the morning, of course, it's 114 degrees every day right now, midsummer in Las Vegas. So I'm not doing too much hot tea, but I do iced teas, and I do add ginger. I juice ginger and add it to some of my iced teas, like my hibiscus tea, sorrel as the Jamaicans would call it, or Jamaica as they call it in Spanish. But I make a beautiful cool weather morning tea where I will use about 2 tea bags, usually one green tea bag and one black tea bag. Black tea bags have a tendency to work real well with turmeric. And so I put 2 tea bags in my cup, to which I will add about a half a teaspoon each of cinnamon and ginger and turmeric. I'll add just a pinch, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon at most, of the cayenne pepper. And I will also maybe add a couple of drops of vanilla extract to that, as well as add wild desert honey to sweeten it to taste. And by the time I put this whole concoction together, it's a superfood drink that becomes a wonderful wake up morning gathering. And it just really kind of resets your body. Cinnamon helps to lower the blood sugar, the turmeric boosting the immune system, and the cayenne pepper moving the mucus out of the way, combined with the ginger. Oh yeah, that's living, man.
All right. So I know you mentioned ginger ale. So are there any benefits to ginger ale? And if so, can this actually be made at home?
Yeah, you can make it at home. Ginger ale is sometimes used for people who have a little stomach disorder. They feel maybe like they might get nauseous. Well, they can just sip some ginger ale, or if they're flying and they become a little nauseous because of the imbalance of the cochlear part of the ear, we get an imbalance. I don't like to fly. I have a little tendency to get motion sickness, so ginger could be very helpful there. Pregnant women will sip some ginger to calm the nausea commonly associated with early stage pregnancy. And you can make your own ginger ale. The commercial ginger ales that are out here, from my perspective, have too much sugar in them. I enjoy the anti-inflammatory properties of the ginger, but when you're consuming a lot of sugar, that is, of course, going to negate the anti-inflammatory properties, because excessive consumption of sugar is always associated with increased risk of low grade, acute, or chronic inflammation. And so, a good way to make ginger ale would be, I would say, take a couple finger-sized piece of ginger, run it through your um, what's it called? Your masticating juicer, and that's the slow juicer. And you could even add, say, an apple with that, so you don't have to add sugar to it. Just use the sweetness of the apple to be the sweetness of the drink. The apple, of course, juice like that's going to have pectin in it, which is a wonderful detoxifying agent. And just take that ginger apple juice and add to it some sparkling, fizzy mineral water. So in the drink that you've made at home, one, it's much less expensive than the ginger ale you would buy at the store. The fructose sweetness of it comes from the apple, so it's much more digestible by the body. And with the sparkling mineral water, you are again going to be reinforcing the critical minerals necessary for our daily health. So here's one way that we can do these things at home, get a much better outcome, and protect our long-term health by not consuming 7 teaspoons of sugar, which is commonly found in many sweet sodas.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all that I have today. So, is there anything that you would like to tell the people before we log out of here?
Well, I know one thing. I just talked myself from going down into my kitchen and grabbing an apple and some ginger and running it through that juicer, add some sparkling mineral water, kick back, and have a beautiful time. Maybe make myself some popcorn. And you know something? Popcorn, you can also add culinary spices to popcorn, such as I add ginger to mine. Add some chili pepper, which does, of course, contain the capsaicin, the heating element. I will add garlic powder to it. I will add just a little bit of sea salt, not too much, and some curry, some cumin, maybe garam masala. So we can actually, and again, you can use the powdered ginger on something like that. So you're actually creating a popcorn dish. It's actually got a lot of nutrition in it as well. So that's a good plan for this evening, my brother.
All right. I know we also talked about nutritional yeast as well in one of our programs.
That's
So,
another great one. Yeah, great one to add on. I always add that to my popcorn. Thanks for reminding me, making my mouth water.
all right. So, is there anything else, man, you're working on right now?
Yeah, I really have been on a writing tirade this year. I have released 3 brand new original books this year, as well as I've gone through my back catalog and I'm updating, putting new covers on, and expanding the text on some of my older books. One of which I more than doubled the size of the older book, changed the name and everything. It looks like a brand new book, even though it's based upon an old one. I have another one that I'm transforming. It's entitled Transforming Soul Food for the Mind, Body, and Spirit. And
Nice.
that new book, new update, will include 25 of my favorite vegan soul food recipes. And so we're coming real strong. There's a lot of good things coming. And hopefully we'll be able to direct people within a month to a new TV show that I will have coming out. There's a beautiful brother who I met here in Las Vegas. He's got a magnificent $1 million studios, and he really loves what I do. He loves the food, and so we're going to get Living Superfood in a really nice kitchen and shoot quite a few episodes and see if we can take this beautiful phenomenon of living superfood and food as nature's most perfect medicine, take it to a much broader global audience. I'm really grateful for your efforts because you believe in this, and we are convinced that working together, we can help everybody find their pathway to perfect health.
Nice. So, where can people reach you, Kitty?
They can reach me. I want them to go to livingsuperfood.com. We have lots of books up there and videos and the documentary Chewiside, the movie, as well as, I didn't really mention it, but I'm doing a lot of one-on-one consulting right now. This whole COVID thing has really kind of exposed the fact that Americans are not a healthy people. It's so grossly disproportionately hit African Americans and Americans in general, 4.3% of the world population, but 22.3% of the COVID deaths. Black people in America, 0.61% of the world population. Why do we have 6.05% of the COVID deaths? So we have to deal with the reality. And the reality is not necessarily an infectious germ just whoop, pops up out of nowhere. The reality is people are dying of what they've always been dying of. And now we need to get back to living again.
All right. Well, this is the Living Superfood Show. And until next time, take care.